With new DLCs popping up left and right from Paradox, I thought it was time to critique some Paradox titles I personally own. I'm starting with my personal least favorite. This has nothing to do with the quality of the game, but my personal feelings. I will attempt to maintain objectivity by utilizing a grading system. Like a report card, an A through F grade will be given to 4 aspects that make up a game. Those being sound, visual, story, and gameplay. The game's genre will determine grading criteria and emphasis. Hopefully this system makes sense. If you have any complaints or suggestions, leave a comment. Released in May 2016, Stellaris is one of Paradox's more recent titles, and a brand new series for the company. But the game still uses a modified version of the Clausewitz game engine, the same engine used in EU3. This is a Space 4X utilizing a pausable real-time system with variable speed. A recent update to the game drastically changed gameplay by removing all forms of movement other than hyperlanes, bringing the game more in line with titles like Endless Space 1 and 2. Despite this, the game still has enough going for it to stand out. Stellaris' OST is available for separate purchase and may be worth the price of $6.99 US if light, airy, and ethereal background music is your thing. Plenty of synthesizer with a surprising amount of string and bass. The music of Stellaris is very much in keeping with the tone of the game, very fitting for a big universe full of wonderful things in it. The all-instrumental music is neither over the top and works well to fill dead air. Sound design is passing. Lasers sound like lasers, explosions sound like explosions. It functions well enough, but nothing stands out. Voice acting is another story. The only source of spoken audio is the in-game AI assistant. All personalities other than the default, and even the default at points, are very over the top. From the I can't believe it's not Borg hive mind, to the bubbly and naive xenophile assistant.
Did you know that my internal power core has an effective blast yield of over 5 megatons of TNT in the event of a catastrophic overload?
We will have equality, liberty, and justice for all. Or so I've been told. I'm just a robot.
Whoa! Space! Just think about it!
The only way to make peace with others is to make peace with yourself.
No, it'll be fine. I'm telling you, just turn off the fail-safes and... Wait, is this thing on?
System diagnostic completed. All systems nominal.
I serve the faithful. There is no greater calling.
We are one. We are all. Our unity cannot be divided.
Very embarrassing. Visuals in Stellaris are perfectly acceptable for a 4X with a somewhat small selection of ship models, more with DLC, and a wide selection of species portraits. I say portraits as they are only semi-animated 2D pictures. Menus are not separate screens but consist mostly of pop-ups and drop-down menus. This game provides a surprising level of zoom, allowing a good look at ships and planets. Story breaks down mostly to framing and theme for 4X games. The basic premise of gaining control of a species as they gain FTL capabilities and start to form a space empire is a standard framing for games like this. The one letdown in this area is the lack of unique race narratives beyond text descriptions, even for pre-made races. This does prevent the problem of editing a pre-made race away from the intended playstyle, but it's not really an excuse. Roleplay and building your own narrative is the name of the game for Stellaris. Now for the most important part of most 4X games. Unfortunately, one of the most unique gameplay features setting Stellaris apart from its competition was recently patched out. Being able to pick from 3 different FTL methods at the start created a lot of variation, but it made it difficult to create game balance. The main thing setting Stellaris apart instead is the extensive empire creator. The choices in the creator have a much deeper game-changing impact compared to titles such as Beyond Earth. Otherwise, the gameplay and options are standard 4X fare. Research has a somewhat randomized element to it, but it's still mostly linear. Random event missions help give short-term goals, along with bonuses to help break up dead time. Still, the game tends to be front and back loaded with a weak middle. The game attempts to be approachable by having many sliding game settings for difficulty, size, and length, but like most Paradox games, understanding the game requires many hours of experimentation. I'm actually very bad at this game. I tend to be poor at all 4X games. However, unlike some other reviewers, I won't let my lack of skill get in the way of my reviewing. That said, here are some of my personal thoughts. I noticed that in most of my sessions, by mid to late game, I'm woefully behind most rival empires. I had no idea why until I decided to play Civ recently. I noticed in that game that I was never behind, at least militarily. I didn't understand until I made the connection recently. The barbarian system in Civ forces players to maintain a sizable military from the beginning to early mid-game, and by the time barbarians stop being a threat, the other civs are front and center. The pirate system in Stellaris could replicate this, but it doesn't. The effort to wipe out a pirate base is not sufficient to even defend against a rival empire. If you ever played a game like Endless Space and felt that the Empire creator was too limited, this is the game for you. This is not the game for a first-timer. Despite the many difficulty sliders, this game will not guide a new player into optimal strategies naturally. The game is worth full price. DLC is borderline with sales recommended.